What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here, and what I got for your face balls today is a little disassembly and maintenance, and really just to show off the internal workings of this brand new Brian Nadai, or Brian Nadeau, made by Reate Void. So we're going to get right into it here. It is perfectly centered, and action is pretty good. It doesn't rock it out, but yeah, it's pretty decent. So we're just going to jump in here. Now, I will tell you that I started this. I have not opened this up yet, but I started to do this, and it's a 2-screw construction. Both screws were Loctited, so I had to warm them up. So I did that off camera and just got them broke loose. And so here we go. We're going to open this up for the first time and take a look. Now, it did appear that it had a tooled pivot, so a non-rotating pivot, but we're going to check that out here in just a moment. The hardware is T8 on both screws, and it looks to me like this back screw, yeah, that's what I figured. The screw just screws into the titanium on the opposite side, and then on the show side you have just the holes, which you could use a spanner bit for, I'm sure, or find a bit that would cross 2 of those holes or make one or whatever, because that's what you have on the show side. But on the lock bar side, you have the same pivot configuration, just with a T8. And then the back screw here is like a button cap T8. Here is the pocket clip. So milled titanium, nice looking pocket clip, but we'll see how it functions. I haven't really, I just put this in pocket just to check it out. So we got both screws out here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Okay, get this coming apart here. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and push this pivot out, hopefully. Get a little bigger driver here, just so I don't want to screw up the threads inside there. There we go. Alright, pivot is out. You can see we're riding on ceramic bearings, and you can see Brian Nadeau's detent track there with the detent cutout, which I'll show you that here in just a moment. And okay, all right, got a blade stop pin right there, and there we go. Oh, it is numbered on the inside. Mine happens to be number 59, and there is an alignment pin here in the rear. So there is your detent, and you can see it's, instead of a ball, it's that little chunk there that's got many angles on it, which is pretty cool. So that locks into this little machined out area right there. Pretty interesting the way that it works. You can see we got some stainless steel washers. I'm not really sure what they're using for lubricant here. Oh, there's something on the lock bar right there. I actually have a pair of tweezers here. Let me see if I can pull that off there. That's interesting. I don't know what that is, but there was some fuzz or something stuck. It was kind of stuck under the lock bar insert there. Let's see if yeah. You can tell that it was actually jammed under there, because there's still a little portion of it. You can see it right there. There's still a little portion of it under the lock bar. So I guess all I can say about that is Reate definitely is not assembling these in a clean room. We'll say that. So, okay. Well, so both scales are numbered with the number 59, which is cool. And then you can see here we've got, there must have been some glue come through there that they shaved off because there are a few scratches there. Not a big deal. But you can see they've got these two holes there. That's just to relieve any air underneath the inlays when they glue those down. So let me see if I can get these washers. There we go. Nice. I love to see nice thick washers on a knife like this. Some companies, you know, will put those little tiny, you know, just super flimsy little washers in there, which isn't going to help anything. They're just going to cup out over time. If you tighten the pivot too much, they're just going to... I can't pull that washer out. Sorry about that. I had to grab a different tool. This washer, there we go. Perfect. All right. Grab a few Q-tips here. And we're just going to clean this guy up really quick and then go back together and hopefully improve the action some. Whatever they were using for lubricant there was pretty thick and pretty heavy. It was more like a grease. You can see it right in there. And you can see there's definitely some dirt and stuff in there. They obviously are not, they're not assembling these in a super clean environment, that's for sure. But again, not a huge deal. I'm not bitching or anything. It's just yeah, kind of interesting. I'm just going to use a Q-tip here to get in. Perfect. Okay. Let's wipe this detent area off. Get a Q-tip in this one. I just put a little alcohol on the Q-tip there. Okay, so the scales are clean. What do I do with my little pick? All right. Just gonna clean the blade off here. Oh yeah, definitely some dirt and grime and stuff in there. Not a big deal because we are definitely going to remedy this situation. Oh yeah, look at that. So hopefully this thing is going to run much better. The machining and tolerances on this thing are pretty spectacular. So I have no doubts that this thing is going to work well. I'm going to get her all put together here. Definitely a beautiful knife. Just going to give these bearings a rub down. Yeah, I can actually see the grease that was used on there. I don't know why production companies don't just use a decent quality lubricant. You know, on some knives you don't really necessarily need any lubricant, but on others, and this being one of them, because of the detent style here, you're definitely going to want just a little lubrication on that detent track. You've got metal riding on metal there, so I do like the detent design. Pretty cool in the way it operates. Now, I guess one thing I didn't think about, that little piece of something that was under that detent, I doubt they're using something like that to dial in the detent. I think that was just a little mistake, or, you know, a little piece of garbage in there. However, we're going to see how she's going to run now. So I love the way it's constructed. Oh, one thing we didn't look at was the pivot. if it's a tooled pivot or not. The Loctite that was in here, like I said at the beginning, I did have to heat this up. And the way I do that is with a soldering iron. And I just, put it right on the head of the screw that I want to take out and heat it up for a few minutes or seconds, and then back the screw out. So if you're ever taking apart a knife like this and, the screw's not coming out, don't just put more force on it. That's never the answer. So there's something going on that's keeping the screw from coming out. So, I see some guys use drivers that are, large in diameter, which means you can get a lot more torque on it. When you have a T8 or a T6 or a T10, whatever size Torx bit, you honestly should never really need a handle larger than this. Maybe in very, very rare circumstances, I don't ever use anything larger than this. Because something is holding the screw up. If it, heat generally will take care of it if this isn't enough torque for you. So that should be a good indicator. If you need to get a larger diameter driver than this, you're probably putting way too much torque on it, and you need to go down a different path. So anyway, here is the pivot, and you can see, actually it's hard to see there, but there is a square. There you go. You can see that it's milled out, and there is the male side of that square is on the pivot screw. So that's really cool. So it is definitely a tooled pivot. I'm just going to clean that hole out real quick. Nice. All right. Well, let's start going back together here. And I see people assemble knives and disassemble knives in different orientations. Personally, and I'm just going to tell you what my personal opinion is here, I always like to start with the show side down, like this, because the pocket clip is always, on the other side. So, if you do have a one-piece pivot, I like it to be on the show side, even if they're the same on both sides. I like for it to be on the show side like this, and then, build it like a sandwich going up. And that way I don't have to fight the lock bar as well. When you build from this direction, you always have to keep pressure down on it because the lock bar keeps, it wants to lift your blade up. So just much, much easier. And that, I guess it's my opinion, but much easier in my opinion to build this way than it is the other. But I see guys do it both ways. So to each their own. I'm not trying to tell you how to do it. I'm just telling you the way I do it. So this is the way I like to do it. There we go. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of KPL, regular KPL on the bearings, and just put a little tiny bit on the pivot. Like that. And when I'm doing that, I'm not even squeezing the bottle. The KPL light just runs out. So when you tip it up, it's just starting to run out. And we'll set the blade down here. Put the other bearing on. Make sure we got all the dust and stuff off. There we go. Now, like I said, I'm not squeezing the bottle at all. I'm just letting it just gravity feed, and it works just fine. Okay. Now, on the detent track, this is where I am going to use some KPL heavy, and you do have to squeeze the bottle a little bit with this stuff. This stuff is a little thicker, and I'm going to place just a little drop right there, just like that. That's plenty. And then we'll see Okay, so that was the side that the washer was down. Drop that onto there. Put our alignment pin in back here. You know what? I think I'm going to use a little, just because that washer needs to sit down in that hole, I'm going to use just the tiniest bit of KPL heavy. Put 2 little dots right there. I guess I don't even know if you could see that on camera or not, but I'm going to use that. Just the surface tension of that will hold this washer in, just like so. And so now the washer, there you go, washer doesn't fall out. So that will help me align everything going back together. Okay. There we go. And if I didn't say already, all of this is T8 construction with, actually I guess I don't even know what the lock bar insert is, but I'll tell you here in just a moment. Looks to be T8 as well. Yep, it is T8 also. I did not take the lock bar out, or lock bar insert, I should say. There is a machined pocket back here for the pocket clip. So that sits down in there like so. There we go. We've got the, this is not an integral. There is a line there, although it's very, very well done. Right at the moment, the blade is perfectly centered. And let's see if we improved anything here. We have 0 blade play. Pivot might be a little too tight, but we definitely improved the detent on the riding on the detent track. That is definitely way smoother with the little KPL heavy. Still have 0 blade play. Now I have a little bit of blade play. So I'm going to tighten that back up just the tiniest bit. Okay. Oh yeah. Excellent. Perfect. That feels really, really good. Spidey flicks well. Awesome. No blade play. I am a little bit off center now, so I do need to tighten that up just the tiniest bit for... Okay, now we're back to center. Action didn't really change at all. Beautiful. Alright guys, that about does it. That's all I had for your face balls today. Hope you enjoyed that, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks. Have a good one.